In this video, we're going to learn the different ways that we can extrude some elements. So far, we are familiar with the extrusion by using a coplanar P-line, and by going either to a solid or surface. So if it's a surface, extrude curve straight, or if it was if that extrusion was a solid, we can go to the solid menu, extrude planar curve straight. Now there are other ways that you can extrude that by using the surface. Let's say extrude along a curve. So that option will allow you to select a profile. So the curve to extrude is this one, and then it will ask you to select a path, which is this one right here. So that will be similar to what we're trying to do when we were using the pipe command, if you remember. So if you had a situation with the pipe, if I create a copy of this one, and I say pipe. So we said that we can do the pipe, but the problem with the pipe is that you cannot change the profile of that extrusion. So extrude surface extrude along a curve, then that will be something that can do that if we wanted to create a rectangular profile. So if we have something that's not a straight path, so something like this, then let's see what happens. Curve to extrude, so that will be the profile, and then the path is this one right here, so it works just fine. And what happens if it's a curve like this one right here? So curve to extrude, and then you can see how in this scenario, then in the middle, right where that turn on that curve happens, then the profile at the bottom is this bottom is perpendicular to the path, and as it gets to the turning area, then it's no longer perpendicular. It's kind of like trying to extrude always like facing up that profile. So in cases like this, another command that you can use to extrude along a path, it's under surface and then sweep one rail. So that's the way that you can access that command, or you can just type sweep one. And it's asking to select the rail or the path in this case. So that is a rail, and then select the cross section or the profile. So this is the section, and then enter when done, enter, and then enter again, and you will get this free form sweep one option rail. I'm going to say for now just hit OK, and now you can see how the end result is different than that. So when you're looking for an end result similar to the pipe, then sweep one will give you that the answer to that. So sweep one can be also used. let's copy this. When you have think of this like a picture frame that you're trying to create, and you want to create a frame. I'm gonna use the gumball to rotate it, and now I'm gonna move it. So now I'm gonna say that is a loop, and that will be the profile to create. When it's a loop, sometimes I prefer, sometimes if the geometry or the end result is giving me like some problems, or it's not looking how I expected, I may move my profile somewhere like halfway instead of having it at the corner. Like in this case, I had it right there. But let's see what happens if it works this way. Sweep one, select the rail. So the rail is the path, and then the cross section is the profile. Enter, enter, hit OK, and at least it works in this case. So see how you can also use it in loops as well. So I was saying that if sometimes you see problems with that, then move the cross section or the profile, and then follow the same process. Rail, so that's my path. Enter, oops, rail, and then cross section. Enter, enter, and that's again, if it's not working the way they want it, or the geometry, the output is not what you're expecting, then move your profile or your cross section to like to have it somewhere in the middle. Okay, so I'm gonna hide this. So that's the sweep one. Now you can also extrude and generate surfaces by connecting shapes. So if in this case, let's say I'm going to delete this. If I place a profile, the square that I selected, all the way to the top of that line, I can create another extrusion by using the loft command. You will need to select two profiles to be connected. So in this case, select curve to loft. So I'm selecting this one, and it goes and it's going to connect with the second curve. So that one. So it's gonna connect those two curves. Enter. You can see that line is projecting, and it's gonna create a connection between the two shapes. Enter again, and then the loft option I'm just gonna hit OK, and now it generated that surface using the loft command. So when you use the loft command, you may change or may use different shapes and different sizes. So in this case, I'm gonna loft a circle, small circle, compared to my square right here. So loft this to that. So it's on top of that one. The square is on top of the circle. Enter, enter. Hit OK. And now I create a surface that connected those two shapes. Now I can connect and loft that square with my connecting the square with the pentagon right here. So loft from the square to the pentagon. Enter, enter, hit OK, and now it generated a surface over there. Again, to loft, you need a minimum of two shapes. You can also do 3 shapes if you want at the same time. So loft this shape, that shape, and then this one right here. Enter, enter, and it will generate that surface or extrusion for you. You can also use the the hexagon also to create single with single lines, single curves. So now I have those two curves, and I'm gonna change those to my guys layer, and then loft from here to here, enter. You can see how it tries to extrude. In this case, it's giving me a problem. I'm gonna change this. Let me check something. Let's do loft from this one to that one, enter. Okay, so when you use lines, make sure that if you click on, like in this case, if you click on this side of the curve, you have to click also somewhere near on this side of the upper curve. But if you go across the selection, so if you click on this one and then click on that one right here, then we'll try to twist that extrusion. So if I do loft again, one click, another click, enter, and now it's going straight. But now if I do select it here and then I click on the opposite side, it will start to like twist it. So make sure that you click on the same side for the curves when you're trying to loft single curves. So I'm gonna hide this. Okay, so that is for loft. Then when I create the sweep one on this element right here, you can see that the path can either be in the middle, somewhere in the middle, or touching the edges for the sweep one. So sweep one, select the rail, so the path, and then the cross section is this one, enter, enter. So that's working. As I said, it will work also on this one. So that is following a uniform path. So the shape is extruded along the path. What happens if we have two paths that we would like the shape to follow? So I have this pentagon, and then I wanted to go straight in one peak, and then the other peak to follow this other path. So it's a combination of that plus that. So I wanted to extrude both that same profile or cross section along these two paths. So for that, you will use the command sweep 2. Sweep 2 will allow you to select two paths. So select first rail or the first path, select second rail, this one right here, and then select the cross section is this one right here. Enter, enter, then hit OK. You can see how it extruded that same shape and it followed both paths. Now it can be a custom shape. It doesn't need to be some of the predefined loops or shapes that Rhino has. You can create your own profile, and that will work for any of the commands that we reviewed. So sweep 2, first rail, second rail, and then cross section, enter, enter, hit OK, and you can see how it follows both rails, and then the profile was extruded along those two rails. Okay, so that's for sweep 2. Now sometimes we create extrusions like this or even like that one, and we just need to create the top surface because right now it's an open surface. So if we want to make a solid, then you select that and you cap it, and it creates the top surface. The same thing on this one right here. So cap it, and it creates the top surface. I think that's the easiest way to create those extra surfaces on the bottom and the top of the object. Now let's see on this one right here. If I try to cap it, this is one attempt, object is still open. So it created a bottom one, but it didn't create the top one. Something that sometimes we missed is that if the surface that we're trying to cap is not coplanar, meaning it's not going to be flat completely, that command will fail. How do I know that? And sometimes the surface or that little opening is off by like a small fraction of a number that it's not even visible. Now if I change this view to the right view and I come back to that object, see how I can zoom in and see how the points are not coplanar compared to like this one. So it's a twisted surface, the one that needs to be created and needs to be fixed on that on the top of that element. And to be honest, this is pretty like big compared to other cases when we try to cap something and it's not working. So the first reason that it will not cap it, as I was mentioning, is that the surface to be generated out of whatever object we're trying to cap is not going to be coplanar or flat. So when you have situations like those, you can use a command called patch. Patch you will need to create first a loop. So trace the lines of the area that you're trying to generate a surface from, and then after that you can apply a patch. So let's say patch, you have a first you'll duplicate those edges. So we're gonna use the command dup edge to duplicate those edges. When done, hit enter, and then after that join them. So we join them so we can just select them with one click. So after that, you can use, once you create that P line around the edges, now you can run the command patch. It will ask you to select the curves. So that's the curve. Hit enter, and then hit OK, and now we'll generate a surface. Now look at how complex this new surface is compared to this one. Has more iso curves, the purple one, compared to that, and that's because it's not a coplanar surface. Now if we compare to this one right here, so I just trim a this sphere. If we use the patch command, so I created that line or that shape by duplicating the edges of that opening in the sphere. So if I put it back and I say patch, You type patch, select the object, and then enter, enter. So now it will try to create and mimic a surface. Basically, it's patching that hole in there. The problem with patches, sometimes it will take a guess, like it will take like the closest, it will generate a surface that's like really close to what you need to kind of like cap that hole, but it will not be perfect compared to generating something like this. So the end result will be more a more complex surface if we compare to a simplified version using other commands. So I'm gonna move this up, and you can see how now I'm gonna use a curve. So I know that that's a flat or coplanar loop. So if I go to surface planar curve, now you can see how this surface is cleaner than this because it has less iso curves. So try to keep it simple, as simple as you can. So in this case, this works better than that because it's lighter and it's more accurate. Now patch, like in this case, I create this complex surface, and it will be hard for you just to generate this kind of like to cap or close this opening on this surface. So what I did is, using the edge surface, I generated the edges of that opening, and I got this with the dupe edge command. So now that you generated that shape, I'm gonna type patch. I'm gonna select the loop, the curves, enter, hit OK, and now it generates that surface from over there. Now I could join those two surfaces, but by joining them, that doesn't mean that you're fixing that problem of the patch, because there's still two surfaces that it's a polysurface, so it's treating this element as two surfaces, even though you join them. Previously, we mentioned that when you have something like this, so if you go to solid union, so you have a cross, the two surfaces on the top. If I use the sub object selection, you can see how you have several surfaces in there, not just one. So one, and then this one right here. If you want to fix that, which is a similar case to this, I'm going to change that layer to, if you want to fix that, then you will use merge all faces, and you will select the two faces, or you select the object, and see how it fixes that overlapping of two surfaces. And now I can select it, and it's only one face. Well, if you run the same command on this object, merge all faces, it will not fix it, because patch is always something that it may be touching in some areas, but if you zoom in a lot in other areas, it may be open. Usually depending on how complex the surface is, so this may not be too complex to make that obvious, but sometimes if the structure of the surface that you're trying to patch is more complex than this, then the more you zoom in into those edges, you'll start seeing some gaps. Again, patch is only like a visual, that will be, I will say, the last command to use if you're trying to repair any of the surfaces or polished surfaces in your model.